Hi, John Dwyer here, and let me give you the case study on a fun park, an amusement park, or theme park, in Melbourne, Australia. And this theme park is called Funfields. Now, Funfields is a water-themed park. So it has lots of water slides, and it has other things too, like Dodgem cars, and it has the mini golf, and it has the go-karts, and it has a whole bunch of other things, but it's predominantly a water park. And in Australia, in Melbourne, throughout the spring and summer periods, it can get up to 40 degrees Celsius, and so therefore, their peak season, of course, is in the spring and summer. It's really, it surprised me when this particular business came on board. The owner happens to be a chap called John Verga, and John said to me, look, can you come to Melbourne and visit my park? And I did. And when I went to the park, I was pleasantly surprised. It was very well landscaped. The rides were just spectacular, and they were kept in immaculate condition. The painting, the signage, the entrance, everything was just really immaculately kept. And whilst it was not Disneyland by any means, of course, it was still Disney-like in terms of being very well kept and very pretty. Anyway, he said to me, look, I just want you to increase the patronage in the park. And he explained to me that the patronage in the park was sitting somewhere between the 1,000 and 1,500 person mark throughout the summer period, and he'd love it to get up towards 2,000. It would be just fantastic. And I said to him, okay, well, that's great. And we walked around the park, and he was pointing out the various rides to me and so forth. And then we come across one that looked like it was relatively new, and it was 12 months old, and it was called the Typhoon. And it was one of those big slippery dip water slide things where it came down from the mountain range. This park was on the base of a mountain, and so therefore it came down from the mountain, and the kids would, well, I say kids, but adults as well, but mainly kids, would go around a breakfast bowl sort of thing, and then they'd spit out the other end. And it was called a Typhoon, right? And I said to him, wow, that looks fantastic. And there was a school excursion there that day, so there was lots of kids screaming with delight. And I said, wow, that looks fantastic, the Typhoon. He said, oh, JD, don't talk to me about it. And I said, why not? He said, that thing was millions of dollars when we brought it out last year, 12 months ago, before last Christmas. And it's been a white elephant because, despite the fact it's voted as one of the most popular rides in the park, the thing is that it hasn't really increased the patronage. So it's great to be sort of voted one of the most popular rides, but if it's not bringing more people in, then, we've blown a few $1 million on this for nothing. And I said, gosh, that's no good. He said, yeah, so much for, what it was going to do for us, the longest water slide of its type in the world. And I went, bzz. Excuse me? Could you just freeze frame that? What did you just say? And he said, it hasn't done anything. I said, no, the longest water slide in the world thing. He said, oh, well, apparently it's the longest water slide of its type in the world by 6 inches or whatever. And I said, but I've just looked at all your brochures, and I've just looked at your TV commercials, and I've listened to your radio ads back in the office, and I didn't hear longest water slide in the world at any one of those. And he said, well, don't blame me, blame Liz. And Liz, his wife, was beside him. And I said, what do you mean, blame Liz? He goes, oh, well, she's an accountant. And I said, what's that got to do with anything? He said, well, we had a water slide a couple of years earlier where we really did beef it up in terms of our advertising, and we had 2 or 3 complaints from people who thought, we were hyping it up and they were underwhelmed. And so we really don't want to go crazy again. I went, what? I said, look, I'll tell you how to fix this. And he said, what's that? I said, well, divorce Liz for a start. And Liz had only met me for the first time. She had not been to my seminar where John had. So it took a little while for her to realise I was just joking. It was a sarcastic remark. So anyway, look, we're great pals now. But the thing was, I said, look, please, can I fix this? You've got something here which is an organic wow factor. We don't have to come up with any Happy Meal toys. We've got an organic wow factor here of the longest water slide of its type in the world. Let me just fix this, and let me fix your advertising. He said, fine. So what we did, we spent a few $1,000s getting a drone in. Okay, you don't have to get a helicopter these days, and the drone just took image of kids coming screaming down the water slide, and we basically redid his TV commercial and his radio commercial and everything else. And on this case study, you can watch the TV commercial. You'll see the before and after, okay? And the TV commercials that they used to have beforehand were very targeted at little, infant children that were wanting to go on the little slippery dips and the little sort of, paddle boat rides and things like that. And what he wasn't wasn't realising is that little children who might be 3 or 4 or 5 will see that on TV, but they don't have the pester power that a 8 or 9 or 10 or 14-year-old has, because they will say to mum and dad, oh, can we go to Fun Fields? And mum and dad will go, oh, look, yes, we will, sweetheart, and they'll give them something to distract them, and then the kid will never think of it again because they're only 4 or 5 or 6. Whereas if you're a parent, and I've got 6 and they're too old for asking me things like that now, but when they were 9 or 10 or 12 or 14 and they said, we want to go to a fun park, we want to go to a fun park, or we want to go 10-pin bowling, or we want to go whatever, mini golf or whatever it might be, I'm telling you, they can't be distracted. You can try your hardest, but they will just go on and on and on and on about it until you say yes. So I said, why don't we actually have the ad targeted at that older children age group, because they've got pester power. They don't give up annoying mum and dad until they get what they want. And if they've got little brothers and sisters, they'll just come anyway. So that's what we did. And I urge you to have a look at the before and after ads below. You'll see the before one was very cutesy and it was very targeted at the infants. But the one that we came on with is something like this. We dare you, I'm sorry, I've lost my voice. We dare you to ride the longest, the scariest, the most thrilling water slide on the planet. It's called Typhoon. And of course we see the kids screaming down the water slide, and we sped them up a little bit faster than what you normally would come down the water slide. And you hear the kids screaming out, awesome, it's fantastic. You know? And then of course, if that wasn't enough, we picked the second most popular ride, which was a big toboggan that comes down the mountain range. And we said, if that's not enough, then you can actually come at lightning speed down the mountain range in this toboggan. And then of course at the end of it, go to funfields.com and book your tickets. Well, anyway, as it's turned out, we launched this on Boxing Day, okay, just after Christmas, and the TV commercials came Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Of course, he was closed on Christmas Day. On Boxing Day, he left a voicemail for me, and he said, JD, I don't know what you're doing. Well, of course, he did know what I was doing, but it was a manner of speech. He said, I don't know what you're doing, but he said, it's 9 o'clock. And we've had to open the gates because we've got thousands of people here. He said, we've got a 6-kilometre traffic jam down the road, which I've never seen before. And he said, we've got 4,000 something people in the fun park already. Now, keep in mind, he was pretty happy if he went from, 1,000 to 1,500 up to 2,000. We took it to over, 4,000 people on the first day at 9 o'clock in the morning, okay? And of course, it just went on from there to enjoy more success throughout the summer season, because once you've created a template of a winning formula, guess what you do? You put your foot on the accelerator and you just keep on keeping that on, okay? So once you develop a predictive model, you stick with it until it starts to fade. And that's what he's been doing ever since. He's a great guy. You'll see the testimonial below. He was kind enough to say some nice words about my marketing tactics and my marketing philosophy. He's done very, very well out of it, and I'm really, really pleased for him, because he and his wife Liz are lovely people, and they deserve every success. They're very entrepreneurial, and the great thing I found about them is that I would just tell them, look, give this a shot, and they were the sort of client that I dreamed for, because they would just do it, okay? We made sure it was all very cost effective, it was low risk. The stuff that I did for him, if it didn't work, then we had plan B to bring in the old ad straight away. So it was not like he had to risk a lot of money. It was the same budget on TV and the same budget on radio and the same budget on letterbox drops that he had the year before. The only thing that changed was the creative. And I have to say to you is that, my model is based on a system. There's no question about that. But if you can put some pixie dust in there, which of course is the creative, it can make all the difference. So enjoy reading the case study. It was really a spectacular result. The numbers that he had over that first season were just incredible. And he's still a client today. And so therefore I'm continuing to work with him on marketing the park as he produces more of these spectacular rides. He's fantastic because he keeps on, I don't know what you'd say, probably Disneyfying. He keeps on adding more rides to the park each year, because that's what you've got to do in that business. Hope you enjoy.